Well, folks, when it rains, it pours. Another day, another New Jersey Devils injury. Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And guys, you can't make this stuff up. The injury plague that haunts this team simply will not go away. Over the past few seasons, we've seen injuries to everyone, including star players, impact players, everyone in between. For whatever reason, this team continues to get injured, and it is super painful. Obviously, in the last game in Columbus, a hard-fought New Jersey Devils road victory, improving the record to 2-1. Beautiful outing for the boys. But we saw Jake Allen leave the game with cramps after 2 periods. Markey comes in, and in the closing seconds of the game, with Columbus trying to make a push to tie it, Markey gets injured. No one really knows what. There was maybe something with his hand, and then after the game, we see him kind of rush off the ice, and then, the JFK level analysis of the video of him leaving the ice, we see that he's kind of favoring a leg. People start speculating, is it an MCL thing again? And we don't know anything from yesterday, obviously, off day for the team. And then today, we were all waiting for some news. And the first kind of tip of the cap, if you will, or showing of the hand, was this announcement. Devils recall Daws, McEwen placed on IR. The New Jersey Devils announced today that forward Zach McEwen has been placed on injury reserve with an upper body injury. We all thought that was coming, stemming from that Tampa game. Terrible loss. I mean, it looked like he was going to be a good fourth-line player for the Devils. I liked his energy. We talked about him a lot. But McEwen to the IR, no really surprise there. The Devils also recalled goaltender Nico Daws from Utica. Daws, 23, has appeared in one game this season with the Comets, allowing just 1 goal on 27 shots for a 1.03 goals against average and a 963 save percentage. And then they give us stats for last year, which weren't great on Utica because they struggled. But that's the first thing we see. So then people are speculating, oh, okay, Daws is coming up. Could it still be Allen? Maybe Markey's fine. And the whole time, you'd have to believe that if the cramps thing was true, that clearly the injured goalie was going to be Markey. And sure enough, after practice a little while ago, we get the update. Markstrom out couple weeks. Devils goaltender Jacob Markstrom will miss a couple of weeks, very vague there, with a lower body injury, I called that, per Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe. He's going to miss a couple of weeks probably, Keefe said. I consider it good news considering what had happened. I don't consider it too serious at this point, but he's going to have to miss a little bit of time. Markstrom appeared shaken up in the final minute of New Jersey's 3-2 win in Columbus on Monday night, though he finished the game. And so here we go. Essentially exactly what I predicted that the update was going to be. Week to week, a couple of weeks, essentially is the same thing. Lower body injury, bang. It is what it is, right? Is it the same injury as what he suffered last season? Is it something related? Is it completely different? We probably will never know. But in the end, it is discouraging that this team could just not stay healthy. And for a team that was kind of in a perilous way in terms of goaltending for years and years, where everybody was like, we need a steady goalie. We need a steady goalie. Obviously had the GOAT in Martin Brodeur for years and years. And since then, outside of Corey Schneider, there really has not been any sort of legitimate number one netminder in New Jersey until, and Corey Schneider, mind you, shout out to him. He had some amazing seasons on bad Devils teams. But after him, it was a rotating door of kind of journeymen and career backups. The position never was solidified in New Jersey. Finally, Fitzy had enough. He went out. He got Markstrom. I love the deal. Many of you did. Some had complaints, whatever it is. But the reality is, the net was solidified last year. The Markey Allen tandem was very good for this Devils team and was unexpectedly the tandem coming into this season. Now, it seemed like we were going to have Markey and a young guy. Most people thinking Daws obviously was the logical choice at the time, given that there was going to be so much interest in Jake Allen in free agency, and no one expected him to sign the absolute team-friendly gift that he did. And again, I can't say it enough. Shout out to Jake Allen. What a deal he signed. 1.8 times 5 years. Teams were reportedly going to offer him $4 and $5 million a year. But here we are. After 3 games, more injuries, including to Markey. Who knows if he ever comes back the same. Hopefully he recovers and he comes back and can perform at a high level. But I think a lot of people were kind of nervous about him heading into this season because we don't really know. I do think the injury may have been throwing him off his game a little bit, stemming back to last season. He was never quite the same after the injury as he was before, although I will say he did have an amazing playoff run for the Devils, or if not amazing, very good for the Devils when it mattered the most. But here we are, Markey out. So now Jake Allen's going to have to carry the load. He did so last year. He did it admirably. And that's why you need a good tandem, because when the top guy goes down, you have to have a guy that's capable of carrying a starter's load for at least a period of time. I do believe Jake Allen is that guy. He proved it last year. I do think he'll prove it again this year, which brings us to now his backup, Nico Daws. A lot of people are like, oh, season's over. Again, the extremists are commenting and talking about all of these things about Nico Daws. I believed that the tandem for this season, because of what we were hearing about Jake Allen, I really thought he was going to leave in free agency. I didn't think there was any chance the Devils brought him back. I fully expected him to be gone, and I thought Daws would be in the tandem with Markey, and I was completely fine with that coming into the season, if I'm being honest. A lot of people have been down on Daws, or they say Daws isn't ready. The reality is I was perfectly fine with that tandem coming into the season, and if I'm being honest, I still am for the time being. And here's why. Because we look at the stats of Nico Daws. Now, it's crazy. He's already played 52 games in the league over those past 3 seasons. But you look at his record last year, or his numbers, I guess, from last season. Still only 24 years old. Last year, he played in 6 games, going 3-1. Or, sorry, 3 wins. Where's the losses? I got to go back down here. 3-1. 3-1 with a shutout, a 1.6 goals against, insanely good, and a .939 save percentage. Obviously, a very small sample space. I'm not going to start lighting off fireworks and such, but for anyone who believes that Daws is like this incapable goaltender at this level, I think you're sadly mistaken. We look at the year before, 23-24, the season that got away from us. He played a lot. Played in 21 games. He started 20. He went 9-11 with a .315 goals against and an .894. Again, end of season numbers, not that great. But as you recall, that team did have their fair share of struggles. And there were outings that he had where he looked pretty damn solid. And then we go the year before, 21-22, which is basically ancient history. Or 2 years before. Sorry, he didn't see any time in that miraculous 22-23 season. In 21-22, he started 23 games. He went 10-11 with a .311 goals against and an .893 save percentage. That's a non-playoff team. Again, hard to put too much stock into that. But I will say, I do firmly believe that the New Jersey Devils defense is good enough to where any average, capable average NHL goaltending level play from a goaltender will give the Devils a decent chance to win night in and night out. I firmly believe that. The defense is very good. And so for a guy who in his most recent campaign last year went 3-1 with a shutout and a 1.6 goals against and a .939 save percentage, I think you guys should, wait a couple games that he plays. And again, he's not going to play a ton, but he's going to have to play some. Jake Allen's not going to play every game. And so if Markey's out for a few weeks, you're probably going to see Nico Daws at least 3 times in that time span. And I think he's going to do fine. I really do. I have no worries about Nico Daws. Hopefully, whenever we see him for we have back-to-backs coming up. Hold on, my bad. I didn't have it pulled up. There's a back-to-back coming up, and he will 100% get one of those. Yeah. Tuesday at Toronto, and then Wednesday home against the Wild. He will see one of those games for sure. And so we're going to see what he has, but I have faith in the kid. I don't think it's the quite disastrous situation that some people are making it out to be. The defense is good, and that brings you a long way. And so I do think in the limited time we see Daws, I think he will prove to be a capable NHL goaltender, and hopefully he gets some wins for this club. But another day, another Devils injury. For those keeping track at home, and not even all the guys were on the thumbnail there that I put up. Those are just some of the more recents. But let me have the list right here. Yeah, so coming into the season, obviously we knew Johnny Kovacevic on LTIR recovering from his situation. So obviously down top 6 defenseman to start the season. We knew that going back from last season. Then training camp starts. We find out on the opening day of training camp that Stefan Nason had a procedure. He's recovering. He's out for an undetermined amount of time. We still to this day don't know when exactly he's coming back. And then in preseason and training camp, Juho Lammikko, one of our summer signings, a guy that was expected to compete for 4C, he gets injured. He's week to week. They love the week to week. So Lammikko out. So that bottom 6 piece potential gone. Seamus Casey gets injured with a lower body injury. Unbelievable stuff there. Mark McLaughlin, another guy that was expected to compete for potentially 4C, injured. So he's out of the running. By the way, this all really paved a nice path for Goaltending. And I like Goaltending. I think he was a nice veteran bottom 6 ad coming off the PTO. Shout out to Goaltending for earning that contract. Has some McLaughlin. Okay, then we have Dodonov gets injured. The guy that we all thought was going to be a bottom 6 guy, but turns out Fitz was going to plug him in with peanut butter and jelly on that top line with Brader and Jack. He's injured. Then Zach McEwen gets injured against Tampa. We're like, oh, we finally may have found a nice fourth line guy. Bring some energy, bring some size, bring some of that tenacity. He gets injured against Tampa. And now Markey. And so, you know, I don't want to make excuses. I don't want it to sound like, you know, whining or whatever. But the reality is, and I couldn't find this easily on the internet, and I'm too lazy to do a deep dive, but the Devils have to be towards the top of the league, if not number 1, in man games lost over the last few years. I mean, this is an unprecedented run of injuries. I've never seen anything like this. I do like Markey. I did think our best chance to go on a deep playoff run was with Jacob Markstrom in net. I still do. I just hope that after the injury last season and now this one, that he comes back and can get to that high level again. I mean, he obviously had a little bit of a shaky start this season, and I thought, you know, he would settle in as time went on, and now we're kind of hitting the reset button. He's going to be out for however long, and it's going to be, you know, the whole kind of getting acclimated process all over again. And so here we are, guys. It is what it is. Hopefully this team just continues to go with the next man up mantra and just continue to win games and not worry about it. Because in the end, it seems as though this team may never play a game with their entire lineup or their entire optimized lineup. It's pretty crazy. But we get to the comments. Stick Figs, what's going on? I blame RWJ Barnabas. Their primary customer has been away for 4 months. They needed to make up the balance sheet. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. And then he says, Stick Fig says, just notice the thumbnails. Markstrom's new mask is facing a Viking helmet. I like his new masks, but I hope he doesn't mean he's retiring his old mask. They were too good. I think he's very into it seems. And so we might just see a constant rotation of masks from Markey. Anthony Garcia, okay, the Devils are cursed. They haven't completed a full regular season week yet. Yeah, it's insane. When it rains, it pours, guys. And the injury plague is just haunting this team. Critter Chronicles, Markstrom is washed, so I don't really care. As long as Allen and Daws are good enough, we will be fine. I disagree that Markstrom is washed. I have to disagree there. I don't think he is. And we've seen some big time saves from him in the first couple games. I don't think he's washed, but I do agree on the fact that as long as Allen and Daws are good, we'll be fine. Now, you know, God forbid something happens to Allen and Daws has to be, you know, carry the starter's load. That would make me a little apprehensive. But in the end, because of what I just said a couple minutes ago about how good I do think the defense is, I think in that scenario, which again, hopefully doesn't happen, if Daws has to play the majority of games for a few weeks, I think he would weather the storm and do just fine. I don't want to see that theory tested, and hopefully nothing happens to Allen. But I have full confidence in Daws on this team with this defense. A lot of you will not, but let's see what this kid does when he finally gets his first start, and it should be next week in one of those 2 back-to-backs. Pro Bowl forever, I'd rather see Malik over Daws, to be honest. Yeah, I'm rooting for Jacob Malik. I think he's going to be an NHL goalie somewhere someday, hopefully in a tandem maybe with Big Mike Yegorov here down the line. But I can't say that I would prefer him over Daws at this point just because he has not started an NHL game, and we have seen a decent body of work from Daws and what he could do. And so I do think it's a little bit of a safer play. Critter Chronicles, I'm all in on Allen after seeing him last game. I mean, yeah, but how can he maintain that? And hopefully he wouldn't have to maintain that. He was getting pelted. Lots of rubber came Jake Allen's way. He looked like an absolute brick wall. And if it wasn't for Allen, I do believe the Devils would have been down, 2 or 3 goals early on in that game. With all the power plays, Allen was just getting absolutely pelted, and he rose to the occasion. He didn't give up a goal until finally on that breakaway. Caleb says Allen is day-to-day right now, too. He'll be suited up for tomorrow. I just don't see how he wouldn't be. They would have had to call up another goalie. He'll be fine. Critter Chronicles, maybe seeing what Malik has would be better than Daws. Well, I think they want to see what Malik has at the AHL level. I don't think they want to, throw him out there in the regular season and kind of experiment at this juncture, unless their hand is completely forced. And thus far, it's not. They have a guy in Daws who we've seen before. We've seen what he can do, maybe inconsistently, but when he's at the top of his game, he looks pretty damn good. And he was one of the best players for the Devils in that Stadium Series game a couple seasons back against the Flyers at MetLife Stadium, the outdoor game. Pro Bolt forever. Daws is too inconsistent. I could see that. Pro Bolt says maybe Bennett would be a good number 3 goalie. He's far away. Trenton Bennett's only like 19, I think. But he's a monster kid. Yeah, he's 19 years old. If you haven't seen it, I have a video of him at development camp this summer. If you're interested in seeing anything with him, check it out. But that's on the channel. Jeffrey says, PVO boys, thanks to Fitz, we have Allen. It's early, and Nason is almost back as well. Great job on the channel, by the way. Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's really more so thanks to Allen that we have Allen, honestly, because, credit to Fitz too, but it's primarily Allen leaving that meat on the bone, guys. Allen leaving that meat on the bone to stay in New Jersey, and it's already coming into play way sooner than any of us would have ever wanted to see. Colby says, easy win for Jersey tomorrow. Tarasov will be in goal for us and home opener. There's no easy wins in this league, Colby. Like I've said millions of times on this channel, any team could beat anyone on any given night. And so I'm not counting anything as an easy win, especially against the back-to-back champ Panthers that have proven they know how to win. Collect records. It's up all on Fitz, in my opinion. I like Allen and Markey, but Fitz snoozed on legitimately fixing goaltending, then scrambled to find these 2 old guys. His lack of business sense is sickening. I mean, that's a bit strong. I could totally understand that viewpoint. I did have videos out multiple times about how I wanted, when the Predators were supposedly shopping Askarov, I was super interested in him and would have loved to see the Devils get him to have a stud goalie, at a very young age, who could have maybe been the next franchise goalie. Water under the bridge. It didn't happen. I would have loved to see it, but it seems as though Big Mike Yegorov, our 2nd-round pick from a couple years ago, very well could be that guy. Very well could be that guy. Looking to have a big season under head coach Jay Pandolfo at Boston University. Sarandas, why isn't LaChance up? I guess because they prioritized Hallinan. I do like Hallinan too, but LaChance is like my guy. I've been rooting for him for a while. Again, kind of fell in love with him watching him at BU while watching Yegorov. And I think LaChance is eventually going to be a great bottom 6 piece for this team. And maybe we do see him get his chance this year. Jeffrey says, who was out there for Fitz to get on limited free agency market, collect records? I think he's probably going back from a couple years ago. Let me try to catch up a little bit here. You guys are very chatty. What's going on, Pyro? Dubs is like says, Big Mike is at least 3 years away. Maybe only 2. But it could be up to 3. I could see it being sooner, but I guess a lot of that depends on what else is going on in net for the organization. And the other thing that sucks for Markey is that, it seemed like the team was kind of waiting to see what he was going to look like before offering him an extension, which he's publicly voiced he was looking for. It's unfortunate he didn't get it, because now who really knows? Right now there's another injury thing kind of attached to him. How's he going to play? And so I do think he will be able to extend his NHL career somewhere, if not New Jersey. But I do think that kind of throws a hiccup into the whole equation in terms of him getting an extension. I don't think the team's going to be in any hurry to give him that now, given that he was just injured again. Maria says, who's our e-bug Marty? I'm not even sure who it is. It's probably like someone who played at the college level or something. I meant to look into that because the e-bug was on the ice today. Fentanyl, 2 35-year-old goalies, what could go wrong? Again, I'm not a medical professional, but I don't know if these and they haven't confirmed what it is, right? But if it is an MCL injury, I don't know if that is necessarily correlates with age in any way. Like, he's 34. If he was 28, is his MCL less likely to get injured? I don't know enough about it, but it seems kind of silly to me based on the age thing. I just think it's more of the kind of wear and tear and demands of the position and moving kind of in not so usual ways, perhaps. But I'd be curious to hear what a doctor would say, but I can't blame that on age. Antonino says Devil signed Corey Crawford. What an interesting story that was, right? Yeah, I think he made it to like one practice before he was like, my heart's not in this, I'm out. Dubs is like says, in my book, they'll never live down picking Holtz over Askarov. I mean, yeah, a lot of people will point back to that as obviously a miscue in terms of drafting, and a lot of people, some people are using hindsight to do that, obviously, but I do remember a good amount of people kind of complaining about that in the moment right after. And so it's not hindsight for everybody. Some people did have that view back then. So it is a fair point for many. SST says Markstrom is a has-been, frankly. Last 2 seasons were bad. Trade him at the deadline and get a top 6 forward. I mean, I obviously disagree with that. He rose to the occasion in the playoffs. I'm a Markey guy, and so I think that's extreme, and I don't think they will be trading him at the deadline. And Markstrom alone certainly is not going to fetch a top 6 forward. Yeah, I just talked about that, Josh. Fly Sports Talk says, thank God it was only cramping for Allen. Hopefully that's the real story. I mean, it probably is, but you never know with injuries. Everyone keeps things close to the vest, and you're always kind of wondering what the legitimacy of some of these reports are. But as long as Allen's out there tomorrow, then all is well, and we'll see how it goes. Sarandas, Devils would be nuts to sign Markstrom to a multi-year deal. Body is breaking down. It could be. It could be. Hopefully that's not the case. That would be unfortunate, but, a lot of goalies at this age do start falling apart based on, again, the wear and tear of the position. I just want to see something here. So Allen is better than Markey at this stage. I mean, we'll find out. We will find out. And Fly Sports, like I meant to say that too, back to the whole tandem coming into the year. Yeah, a lot of us thought Daws was going to be traded as a result of Allen re-signing. I'd imagine Fitz probably put some feelers out on the market to see. And there was no takers. Clearly there was no one interested in trading for him because when he did go on waivers, he cleared waivers. And so there was no demand for Daws at that juncture. And now we'll have to see if there's a threshold. I think it's, I forget how many games. Someone posted it earlier. But if he's here for a long time, there is a scenario where he may have to clear waivers again to go back down. And depending on what he does in the National Hockey League, there's a chance that he might not. I'm skipping ahead here. Jeffrey says Daws will be fine for a start or two until Markey comes back. I completely agree. What's going on, Devil Dog? Dubs is like, Daws can go back without hitting waivers as long as he plays under 10 games. I did see the 10 games thing, but then I meant to get clarification. If he's here for 10 games but doesn't start, because I'd imagine the 10 games is across the board, right? So if he's here for 10 games but only starts 2, does that count? Or for a goalie, is it 10 starts? That's what I'm not very clear on, and it was hard to get clarification via the interwebs on that as well. Yeah, Nason's already started skating, but a lot of guys can skate and still be quite a bit away from returning, unfortunately. So I'm not going to put too much stock into that. Hopefully he's back soon because this team is better with Nason in the lineup and heavier, edgier, more violent. A very, necessary, if you will, element to win in this league. My buddy Goody was watching Ace while at work is not something I had on my bingo card back in middle school. Circa 1996, when I went to my first hockey game where the Devils played against the Mighty Ducks. Go Devils. Oh, that's great, man. I remember the old school, the Mighty Ducks before they just became the Ducks. Zay says, just got out of class. Hate this is the news I see. Yeah, it's super unfortunate. Super unfortunate, but here we are. Devil Dog says they hired this data scientist, Greg Ackerman from the Seattle Mariners, who kept their pitching staff healthy, and now everyone gets injured as soon as he gets here. So I will say, and I've said this for weeks now, for everyone blaming, trainers and conditioning coaches and things for these injuries, I think it's ridiculous. How are you going to blame a strength and conditioning coach or anyone else other than just fluke, bad luck, and a curse that's hovering over this team that, Markey bends his leg a weird way and gets hurt, or Dadonov gets hit in the hand with the puck. There's nothing these strength and conditioning guys can do that is going to prevent this stuff. And so to blame them, I just think is kind of lazy. and looking to point the finger at somebody. I mean, it's nobody's fault. It's just super unfortunate, and we've had the worst luck ever. Yeah, Hunter says ESPN reported lower body injury. That's what they all are. Everything's a lower body injury. LJ says, I wouldn't jump off the Markey train yet. Also, if I were Fitz, I think you got to push for that top six winger move to support whatever goalie's in net. I don't think that would happen anytime soon, but I do think if this team is looking like a legitimate contender as we approach the trade deadline, I think a top six winger is obviously going to be at the top of Fitz's wish list, and hopefully something he could pull off. Rob says, I got to burn my Kovalchuk jersey. This team has been cursed since I bought it. It's the only thing I could think of as to why bad things keep happening to this team. Bought it after the 2012 Cup run. Yeah, it's possible. Maybe your Covey jersey is bad luck. Snow Devil, what happened? Whatever happened with Romanov? The Devils didn't sign him. He was on a PTO. They didn't sign him, and I believe he signed with St. Louis. Ryan says, give Markey time. Everyone was forgetting the crazy saves he made last year in the playoffs. Just get him to the postseason. That's kind of my thoughts. And hopefully, like I said, Markey has a speedy recovery and he comes back and he's dominant. Nico is king. Speaking of goalies, Big Mike has Boston U ranked number 1 in the nation. They've got a big game against number 4 Michigan this weekend. Very nice. I'm going to see if I could catch one of those. I do think Big Mike is the real deal, and I think he is the next franchise goalie. But I think Malik could be in the mix as well. Let's see what he could do in the A this year. But Big Mike is going to be the truth. We can't wait for Yegorov to get here. Time to win is now. Yeah, it is true. We need to win with whoever we have now. It is nice to talk about nice goaltenders and things in the future, but that ain't helping us win a cup anytime this year or next. Van Whalen, just waiting for the midseason Keefe hate that will be incoming. Hope you had a great summer, Ace. Oh, it might be coming even sooner than that, depending. I mean, everyone has something to complain about, Van Whalen, but my summer was all right. It seemed very long. A lot of ups and downs personally. Quiet news for the Devils, and we're finally here. Season opener tomorrow, a home opener tomorrow. The Four Directions, very excited for our home opener. I'm expecting these guys to buzz. Honorable mention to Dylan. He's been stellar in our end so far. Love me some Dilly. I always like to see praise from other people. Dilly. Dilly is just a complete workhorse veteran kind of guy you need to win cups as well. I know a lot of people have been down on him for whatever reason. I don't know why. The guy is just a throwback animal. You need guys like Dilly, and I was so excited when we signed him, and hopefully he continues to have a big year for this team and leads them in the playoffs on a deep, deep run. Yo, Holmes, yo, Ace, just able to pop in. What's the deal with Markey? I know he hasn't been the same since he hurt his knee versus Boston last season, and now this. Yeah. He was trying to get back to that elite level we saw from him for a few weeks earlier last season. And here we are with another setback. It's super unfortunate. He's probably super bummed. My heart goes out to Markey because he's a guy that loves the game, loves to play, wants to win, wants to help the boys. And this is probably really just messing with him. I'm sure he's probably pretty bummed right now. Putz Monkey, injury bug has been league-wide this October, not just the Devils, surprisingly. Yeah, well, it's been with the Devils for the past couple of years. But, yeah, obviously other teams have seen some significant losses as well. Yo, Holmes, he's going to take pictures from the section where we saw them win the Cup in 03, section 211. Oh, nice. Very nice. Chazzy Chaz, after the long offseason, I'm ready to do a number on the club scene contenders tomorrow. Oh, yeah. There's nothing like, feasting at a hockey game. It just seems so right to be back in the building. And I will say, obviously, I did go to a couple of preseason games. But the preseason, it's just not the same. It's not even close to the same, to be honest. And I'll always go to preseason because, I love this team and I'm a hockey junkie. And so any hockey I could get, I'll gladly take. And that, begins roughly, was it like, I forget the date of the first one, but I guess like the preseason's like 3 weeks or so before the regular season. And so, going to games in shorts, it's a beautiful thing. During the summer, love it. But now we're here where the games count, and the boys are opening up tomorrow night against the defending back-to-back Cup champ Florida Panthers. Hopefully they find a way to keep their win streak going. They've won 2 in a row now. Look out. Could that elusive 4 be on the horizon? Matt, if only this team had prime Corey, easy Cup contender, such a dog during the dark years. Absolutely. Corey Schneider, I mean, it can't be stated enough. He was an absolute force for bad Devils teams. And it did seem like just wasted years of a prime goaltender. And unfortunately, it all kind of fell apart for him towards the end of his career. But if we got that Corey Schneider level, those years level of goaltending now, this team would definitely be a cup contender, in my opinion. Woodson, this is what you get when you bank on players 35 plus years old and why they didn't get rid of Daws. Well, Woodson, you can't really credit them for keeping Daws because essentially they risked losing him. It just did not happen. But they were all in on the Markey Allen tandem, which I can't blame them. But Daws is only still here because of kind of luck that no one claimed him on waivers. Michael says, I'm not worried about quality goaltending. Allen and Daws will be fine. My concern is losing Daws on his way back through waivers. And if he plays well, maybe they're forced to trade him, or maybe teams inquire about him. If he ends up playing well in the few starts that he gets, and then we put him on waivers and he gets claimed, that would be a tragic ending to the whole Daws kind of saga, in my opinion. Stickfigs must be nice to be able to feast during the regular season. I may have missed my only chance to feast during the preseason. There's always chances. Krungs, I really think Daws is a dud. The fact he didn't get picked up with waivers when other teams needed an extra backup says enough. I'm not going to put too much stock into that. Perception is not always reality. And so while what you're saying could be the perception around the league, I mean, some of the starts that he's had, and even more specifically, his small body of work from last season would suggest otherwise, Krungs, and especially behind this defense. But we're going to find out. Next week, he's going to play one of those games. Ryan, when Nason is back, a Nason Brown Gritsyuk line would be dangerous if he can play like the start of last season. The reality is, Ryan, any line with Gritsyuk on it will be dangerous. I fully believe that. I think I could be a 15-goal scorer in the league playing with Gritsyuk. He's that good. And for a guy who everyone kind of hyped up his shot, the release, all this, he has shown to be capable of making elite playmaker. Some of the passes he's been making are insane. Insane. His first one may have been the easiest one, but it was a great heads-up play where he threw it across the net mouth and Brown deflected it up. But the drop pass to Brown showed a lot of intelligence. And that beautiful saucer on the power play to Dawson Mercer was a thing of beauty. Put it right in the wheelhouse. Nice sauce over the defense. And Dawson just teed it up. I mean, look, the hands on this kid are phenomenal. I do think the sky is the limit for Gritsyuk, and it's going to be exciting to watch him continue on this season. Woodson says Daws is definitely gone if he plays well. Putz Monkey, Devs and Cats are pretty equally injured. No excuses for tomorrow. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I would say that their injuries are way more damning than ours are. They're without Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, there's no comparison. We're down Nason. I mean, if you're talking about roster players, we're down Markey, Nason, and Kovacevic. I mean, our defense honestly shouldn't skip a beat without Kovacevic, and so far it seems that way. Obviously, with the abundance of riches the Devils have on the blue line, the Kovacevic injury is not going to be felt too badly. Nason, I think we could feel that a little bit, but again, with this revamped bottom six, we're looking like the balanced team we all wanted to see. And so for me, the Cats are way more injured than we are because two of their best players are out in Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk. Woodson says they knew no one would claim him. He didn't show anything great in the big leagues last year. I mean, I could agree to the fact that Woodson, maybe they thought no one would claim him, but I don't see how they could ever know anything like that. I mean, you're leaving it to chance. I could say, given whatever intel they had, they thought there was a good chance he would clear. That's fine. But to say I don't think you could ever know anything like that. Fitz played that hand well, although I think Malik might be better than Daws, and that very well may be the case. Time will tell. I do think Malik is going to be a good one for sure. Let me just see. Did he get his second start yet? It's so hard to find AHL stuff. Michael says Daws isn't a dud. He's been solid. 2 years ago, he only started to have a dip in performance after playing every game in back-to-backs, fresh off hip surgery. Yeah, I mean, he was thrust into the fire sooner than ideal because of the circumstance the Devils were in. They didn't really have a choice. Obviously, not great for his development and less than ideal for the team, obviously. But, sometimes circumstances dictate these sort of things, and Daws kind of got thrown to the wolves. Krungs, after watching Daws get lit up during the preseason, just has me concerned he was letting warm-up level shots in. I mean, that could happen. I don't put too much stock into the preseason. Just like a lot of people point to his numbers in Utica. He had way better numbers in the NHL because he was playing behind a better D. Utica had all sorts of problems last year and as a result had a terrible season. And no one that played goal for them had any sort of decent numbers. Meanwhile, gold is over 4,200. That's a random stat there. Yeah, Krung's now is pulling up the minor league stuff. 893 save percentage, 316 goals against. Putz Monkey, man, I miss Corey Schneider. Was never the same after his groin injury, though. Yeah, I mean, big-time injuries to goalies often kind of is the end. I mean, in terms of them playing at the same level you saw prior to the injury. And that, I'm hoping it's not the case, but if you're being realistic, you have to realize that it is a possibility that may be the case with Markey. I hope it's not, and hopefully he recovers and he comes back better than ever, but it's a major setback. And now we're a potential Allen injury away from Daws having to be the guy, which again, I think for a small stretch, I think he could survive. I do have that much faith in our D and him, but it's not ideal. Krung's, that was 24-25 season. Before that, he had an 890 and a 289. And I agree with you, Utica's a mess. He just hasn't had a great last two seasons like implied. You can't rely off a handful of NHL games to make that decision. No, I'm talking about what he looked like when he looked good in the season before as well. I'll put way more stock into what I've seen of him in the NHL than what his AHL numbers are on a bad team. I can't really put much stock into that at all, quite frankly. And as a kind of analogy, if you look at Big Mike Yegorov's numbers before he transferred to BU, he was playing on a bad Omaha Lancers team in the USHL, and his numbers weren't good because the team was awful. He eventually gets out of that situation. He goes to BU a year earlier than he had thought, and he plays like a monster. And so you have to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit when you're looking at these numbers and say, what is going on here beyond what I'm just looking at on the paper? Because I do believe that Daws is better than you would imagine looking at just his AHL numbers. The team was bad. It was a bad team. Snow Devil, Grits has been a bit shy in taking shots when he has a chance to pass it, and he's shown elite playmaking ability. Hope he finds his groove and confidence with his release soon. Exciting to watch. Yeah, he's been setting guys up beautifully. When he starts burying goals, I think it's going to be an exciting time when we now have Gritsyuk just setting guys up, ripping pucks into the net. Hopefully, I would love to see him score his first NHL goal, regular season goal, that is, obviously. His first NHL goal at home, either against the Panthers or the Oilers, would be pretty cool. And I hope and I'm sure it's only been 3 games, but I'm sure it's something he thinks about. So I do think it'd be nice to see him get that out of the way sooner than later. Hokage, who knows how Daws will do? Basically, just have to sit and wait. He has some good games. He has some good games last season and a couple of games to the Devils. Let's go slap the Panthers around on Thursday. Yeah, it is crazy though. I mean, hopefully we get through the next couple of games with no more injuries. But the depth has been paying off, guys. It really has. I have to give it to Fitz. People were like, "Oh, why is he getting this guy? Why is he getting that guy?" We just cannot stay healthy. And I'm not going to blame any strength or conditioning coaches whatsoever. This goes way beyond that. There's almost no words for it. And it's unfortunate, but Daws is the next man up. We'll see what he could do in the limited work he's going to get for this Devils club. He's definitely going to get a game next week for sure. One of those 2 back-to-backs. And hopefully everyone else stays healthy. I mean, this is just crazy now. But does anyone have anything else? I wasn't planning on this. This was kind of like a midday, just jump on here and talk a little bit real quick about the state of these injuries and the goaltending. But he's basically a full-time streamer at this point. Not yet. Krungs, though, I will say Jake the Snake will make missing Markstrom look like it's not a big deal. I mean, hopefully. I mean, listen. Hopefully Allen stands on his head and looks like the guy we saw last game in Columbus for 2 periods before he left with cramping. He was a brick wall. All kinds of saves coming out for Jake Allen, and he looked phenomenal. And then we see in the 3rd period, Markey comes out, and everyone's like, what the hell? Like, this guy stood on his head for 40 minutes. Kept the Devils in the game. They easily could have lost that one. Hopefully he's not relied on to that level in any game anytime soon. I mean, he was under siege. Putz Monkey, going to catch the home opener tomorrow. I don't care who starts in net. Expecting a big win from the boys against the defending champs. I think we all are. And that'd be a 3-game winning streak. And a 3-1 record on the season would be pretty nice. Anyone have anything else? Yeah. Anyone else going to the opener? For those that live local, love the home opener. Something magical about home openers. And especially when the team is good. Or supposed to be good. Like I went to the home opener in some of those dark years, and while it was still fun, it didn't have quite the same luster. Some of those opening nights I sat in the stands and I was like, is opening night right now, is this going to be like the highlight of the season? And for a couple of those years, I think it may have been. I really think it may have been. Krung says, I think something really clicked with him last season after Markstrom was out. He really hasn't had a terrible game since. Yeah, well, maybe, he's a guy that with more time gets in a better rhythm and flow of the game when he's playing regularly. And that obviously was the case when he was the guy when Marky was out. Krungs can't make the opener, but I got Pier tickets to the next few games. First one is the Wild. Nice. Love the Pier. One of the many clubs with some nice amenities in the Rock where you could just, oh yeah, I guess there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that eating healthy is out the window for your boy A's tomorrow. I am, in fact, going to be in a club. And I have no self-restraint, guys. No self-restraint, no willpower. So I will be stuffing my face. But I guess the good news is you guys are going to see some food reviews in the vlogs. It seems like a lot of you like that. And I do think there will be some different stuff from the preseason to the regular season. And this is a club I haven't been in a little bit. So be looking for that. There's going to be some food reviews in the opening game vlog for sure. Jesse says, Jake Allen sabotaging Markey so they can take the starting goal position. Got to laugh to stay sane. At least we got this injury out of the way early. Yeah, well, maybe. Hokage, Ace talking about the past years like they were in the dark ages. I remember the dark times of yesteryear. No, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, in those, 18 to 21, there was a couple other funky ones in there, like the 13, 14, all those years were just kind of. Jesse says, Jake Allen is about to slide into my fantasy team. That's for sure. If he's already not on someone's roster, that was as soon as this news came out. I mean, any Devils fans who pay close attention to the team who play fantasy should have picked him up probably after last game, to be honest. It seemed pretty obvious that Markstrom was injured and going to miss some time. And so I do think, again, with this amazing defense the Devils have, adding Jake Allen to your fantasy team would have been probably pretty smart. Krungs, listen, we work out in the summer to cover our eating during the NHL season. I mean, I try, but man, it's quite bad. I mean, if I'm being realistic, like people that don't understand, I guess, the capabilities that I have when I'm just in that environment, like, I mean, I'm trying to scale it back somewhat, but at the peak of my face stuffing mode, I would say, I do think in the clubs over the course of a game, it is very easy, not very easy, but it's fairly easy for someone like myself, and I'm sure many others, to consume a literal 10,000 calories. Like, it sounds crazy, but I think it happens quick. Like, I think a 10,000 calorie hockey game is pretty easy for sure, because even without the food, if we're just talking about full-bodied, fully flavored sodas, a couple of those you're probably at 400 calories, easily probably 800 calories in the ice cream. So you're talking about, you already got 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories in the ice cream and soda. And that doesn't count, pizza, cheeseburgers, French fries, pasta station, hot dogs. It's pretty bad, but you'll see the destruction in the vlog. It will be chronicled. Maria says, we'll be stuffing my face too, Ace. Yeah, I'm going to have to, I don't know. I don't know what the plan here is. Maybe I have to punish myself after these games and do like extra intense workout sessions of some kind. Kronk says, funnily enough, I'm usually the opposite. I get butterflies in my stomach when I go to a game and I can't eat too much. It comes from playing sports as a kid. Oh, that never happens for me, Krungs. I wish I could develop anything that would, anything normal. And obviously, I don't want to be ill or anything, but anything that would prevent me from eating too much, because that just does not happen. It's a bottomless pit. I don't really know what it's like to be full. Krungs, I still eat like a monster, though. Nice. Faye, it's going to be interesting. All right, anyone have anything else? This little midday injury report? Man, one day this team will be healthy. One day. One day, hopefully, we could see our full optimized lineup. The playoffs would be a beautiful time for it to happen. It doesn't seem like it's going to be happening anytime soon in this regular season. Just hope no one else gets injured, because it's been a rough go for this team, man. Hokage, I pray the Devils win on Thursday, or that food about to be in real trouble. The stress eating could be real mad real quick. Yeah, I get it. All right, guys, that's it. I got stuff to do. I figured I'd jump on here for a little bit. I might come back later tonight. I'm not sure. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll be back later tonight. But what a day. What a day of more injury news. It doesn't end. It does not end. Marky injured, at least a couple of weeks he will be out. Familiar face Nico Daws called up from Utica. I don't think the world's ending like many of you. I think Daws will be fine in whatever games he plays. And in Jake Allen, we trust, guys. In Jake Allen, we trust. He's going to carry the starter's load, and hopefully we don't skip a beat. He looked amazing in 40 minutes of play last game. Hopefully he picks right up where he left off before the cramps of that game. And hopefully the boys find a way to win both of these games at home. Against the Panthers tomorrow night and against the Oilers on Saturday afternoon, which, if they are able to accomplish that feat, your New Jersey Devils, my New Jersey Devils, our beloved New Jersey Devils would in fact have their first 4-game winning streak in nearly 3 calendar years. Oh, I hope it happens. I hope it happens so bad, but I'll be back soon, guys. Probably tonight, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.